With an end grain target like a log round, the blade will actually slide between the fibers, allowing it to stick more often. They're also safer because it absorbs more impact, reducing bounce back. Lumber's pretty expensive, and we didn't want to spend a lot of money on something we were just going to destroy with knives and axes, so we set about our properties looking for various pieces of scrap wood we could make a target out of. Some of the boards on the pallet were so rotted that we could just tear it off with our bare hands, but that made it easier to get to the boards that we wanted. Also, after cutting off some of the rot, we found that a lot of the wood was still usable. We kept reminding each other we're not building a rocket ship, we're building something that's meant to be destroyed. We set all the usable wood off to the side and made a plan. There were a couple of good wooden blocks that we could use for the center of the target, and a couple of 2x4s that we could cut up into little pieces to be the same length. There were also plenty of planks that we could use to make up the frame of the target. The next step was to take the blocks we had set aside for the center and use them to measure and cut the 2x4s. No measuring tapes for us, remember we're not making a rocket ship. So our construction motto was measure once, then destroy it. We quickly realized we weren't going to have enough wood with just the 2x4s, so we found a couple of scrap 4x4s that filled in the empty space quite nicely. Once all the pieces were cut, we lined them up on what would be the back of the frame and realized we needed more 4x4s. Now that we're able to fill in all the gaps, we can get the dimensions for our frame. No measuring tapes for us, remember this isn't rocket surgery. For the back of the board, we used wider planks. We then used smaller planks to create supports for the back. Then we fastened everything with screws to make it easier to take it apart later. We then connected the side of the frames to the 2x4s that made up the corner of the target. Then we connected the back of the frame to the same 2x4s. Finally, we took the puzzle apart one row at a time and glued everything together. Our goal was to make a target roughly the size of a human torso. Now that we're done, here comes the fun part. We get to test it. To help preserve an end grain throwing target, it's a good idea to soak it before and after you use it. We're just going to use a simple spray bottle full of water. This helps to soften the lignin that binds the wood fibers together. Not only will that help the knife stick better, but later when it dries, it'll help seal the holes.